Yeah, I think everybody wants to at least swing the leg over and give it a try.
Yep, that's what she said.
Exactly. Hey guys, it's Nevermore and I've been doing a video series with Jason from Ironborn Rider, and together we've been talking about motorcycles. And today we are going to talk about Harley Davidson's Pan America. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Jason, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? My name is Jason. I'm with Ironborn Rider. I ride a Iron 883 that's been sort of modded for a 1250 kit, which has been a lot of fun. You guys can follow me, youtube.com/Ironborn Rider for all my rides, reviews, and rants. Also like to take pictures from time to time, and you can check me out on Instagram as well. Same, /Ironborn Rider.
Cool. I'll make sure I link those below too.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So today, because as of February 22nd, the details came out for Harley Davidson's Pan America.
Yes.
Finally.
The moment that we've all been waiting for.
So it's been 2 years in the making. They've been talking about it, teasing it forever, and finally all the specs are released. And this is where I eat crow because I can no longer make fun of this bike. I've been talking a lot of smack.
About you Harley and basically Davidson. Everyone else. Listen, I'm a creeper, and so whenever I see an ad on Facebook or Instagram, I check the comments, and like when they were teasing the bike, right? And 99% of the comments were just hate comments.
I too was somebody who would dog on it, and here's why. And just follow me here. I think everybody thought that Harley was going to come out with an 800-pound useless adventure machine
just a gorilla.
That would just sound loud and get you to the bar. No one really took it seriously. They expected Harley to stay in their lane. And the surprising thing is, they delivered a bike that actually has really good specs, and you have to take this bike seriously.
And I think you really have to appreciate that this is Harley's first adventure bike, like first real modern adventure bike. And the ad talked about how, oh, we've been in the adventure bike business since the start of Harley, yada, yada, what take that as you will, but really this is their first real adventure bike. And I'm impressed that with this first bike that they dropped, it's a banger. Yeah.
So that's your first impression, is just banger?
Banger. My first impression, obviously, I've eaten some crow too. In my previous in my channel, in my previous videos, I've kind of dogged them for, just coming out with the same old thing. It's this is Harley. This is who they are. They can't change. They're too big to change. So I'm pleasantly surprised with the introduction of the Pan America. They're basically introducing, I think, the Revolution 1250 or the 1200 engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this seems like Harley's committed. They're pot committed to this engine, and it looks like they're going to design more bikes around this with this engine.
So first of all, let's talk about who Harley is competing against. Adventure bikes. There's many brands. Harley has never been one of those brands, and I think a lot of the key players are going to be your BMW R1250 GS. That's a big player. Ducati Multistrada, the KTM 1290, and they're all kind of in the same range as far as pricing, horsepower. Actually, BMW being the weakest, probably the most popular. It's right up there with the echelon of these top adventure bikes that already exist. And spec-wise, it's right on par, and price-wise, it's in the ballpark. Ducati is the most expensive at $22,000. And everybody else is around the $18,000 to $19,000 range. So that puts Harley right there with those bikes.
Yeah, I know that was one of the biggest complaints from the Harley community and probably the motorcycle community in general. They were like, "Oh, Harley's going to drop this bike and it's going to be 25 Gs or 30 Gs. It's going to be way overpriced." Um, Surprise, surprise, they came out with a bike that is competitive in price along with the other vectors that you mentioned.
Yeah, and feature packed just like the other bikes. Very similar. Travel feature, suspension. I mean, it's an adventure bike that you have to take seriously.
Yeah, so $17,000 for the base model and 17,000 and some change if you call it, and then 19,000 and some change for the S model. What I like that they did, what Harley did is they gave the same engine to both models. So you get the same horsepower, same, what is it, 140 horsepower, and then 90 some, I think about 90 foot-pounds of torque. So I did some research on the engine itself, and I'm pretty impressed with what they did here. So, it's a liquid cooled DOHC Revolution Max 1250 twin. The approach that they took with this engine for the Pan Am is just about performance and weight reduction. So I really like that was main um, their main focus. Tuned on the Pan Am to deliver smooth low end torque delivery and low speed throttle control, because when you're out in the desert, you don't want that low end torque like that, like most Harley cruisers have. The weight has been reduced by integrating the engine into the bike chassis. You really have to appreciate what that means. So the engine now is a structural component of the bike. I don't know if you caught this, but the front frame, the mid frame, and then the tail section bolts directly to the powertrain. So having the engine into the bike chassis, it provides rigidity. It centralizes the mass so that you have better handling, smoother handling, better weight balance, etc. Better handling. 60-degree V angle, it keeps the engine compact. It maximizes airflow, increases performance. I like that that they kept on pushing how they wanted to reduce the weight. So all the components for the bike has been selected with like weight reduction in mind, like single piece aluminum cylinders, rocker covers, camshaft covers, primary covers. Like a lot of these things have been selected with, hey, we need to get the weight down on this bike as much as possible so that it maintains in line with the competitors.
They had to do that in order to be competitive at all. I mean, like I said, we all expected your typical frame with an engine inside of it with a lot of weight, and we all thought it would be an 800-pound bike, and it's not. I believe it's coming in at 560 pounds.
500. Yeah. I mean, what can you say? Like, so a lot of the complaints that I've heard has been price, weight, what else? Performance.
Sound.
Sound. Although it's an adventure bike, I don't know how you're going to give that Harley-esque sound on an adventure bike.
If there's a will, there's a way. Tell me the first thing you wouldn't do is put a giant exhaust on that Pan America.
Wait, do they have the what is it? The grenades, the Vance & Hines grenades?
Oh, I'm still imagining like that really loud exhaust on the Pan America and like going through the wilderness and all the animals just parting.
Like Moses.
It's like a mixture of Moses and Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say, the regular Pan America is just the base model. But when you get to the S, the special version, that's when a lot of the really cool features come out.
Dude, you get the toys, man. You get all the toys.
And some of the stuff that comes standard on that is the ride modes. Like there's like rain mode, sport mode, off-road plus, and it just changes the way it handles, it changes the way it accelerates and brakes, and changes the throttle response, and just makes things more smooth and even for certain situations you might be in. And most adventure bikes have that.
Yeah, I usually poo-poo on those kind of features on a street bike. Because give me the race mode on any kind of street bike, and that's the mode that I'll probably be on. But on an adventure bike, when you're in different scenarios, when you're on different scenarios, like your different terrains, I could totally see where that's usable.
On the special edition, you get tire pressure monitoring. You get the metal skid plate instead of the plastic skid plate, which is important, including the brush guards, which is the engine guards off to the side. You get Daymaker light on both bikes, and not just a Daymaker light, which is really good for light, but adaptive lighting, which depending on your lean angle, depends on which lights light up, so you can see around those curves as you make your turns. So it has the 4-position windscreen. That's cool. And apparently it's just a lever you operate and you can move your windscreen up and down. Like I said, most bikes have that, but they made it easy to change it on the fly. A 6.8-inch multi-position, so you can change the positioning for glare, infotainment system. And that has everything you'd expect from an infotainment system on a current bike. It has your music, phone connectivity, maps, if you use the Harley app, tire pressure monitor if you have the upgraded version of the bike. Everything you're gonna need. But one cool thing, what's that? What are they calling it?
The adaptive height mode.
Adaptive
rider height mode. Yep.
This is new.
That feature, it's got my ears perked, man. It got me jazzed up because like the Pan America, I think the seat height is about like 31. Yeah. Seat height laden is 31.8 inches on the Pan America base model, and then 31 on the Pan America. So I think it has a little more features that weighs it down a little bit. Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it's an air system or a hydraulic system, but basically here's the way I understand it. The way it works is as you move forward, the system pumps and primes, and as you're to move, it raises the height up of the bike. And as you come to a stop, it comes down so you can flat foot it, which means you're thinking about people who might have harder reaching problems, maybe female riders, maybe Jason.
Who are you talking about? I love the fact that Harley has always looked out for the short guys. Like all their bikes the seats are like 27 inches, really approachable. And I kind of like the fact that you can kind of see this through, the Pan America too. It's 31 inches, give or take, for both models, whereas like the BMW 1250 sits at, I think, like 34, 35. So it's a way more approachable bike, just from a regular outsider's perspective. For somebody who doesn't ride an adventure bike, it's a lot more approachable, both for men and women. I mean, Harley has this feature, and no other manufacturer has this feature right now.
Complete innovation. And I have a friend who bought his KTM bike, and he brought it to my house. Brand new bike. Just got it, rode it to my house. And right off the bat, he wasn't used to the height of the bike. He would have to park the bike next to curbs so he could hop on it to be able to move and go. And to have that on
that's
the
a tactic that I used when I was like, that's a tactic I used when I was like 12 years old, right? That's the oldest trick in the book. This is just as good as any other bike.
Oh yeah,
it's just as good.
Feature rich, ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you could definitely hop on it and have your adventure. And speaking of that, that's kind of where the marketing definitely comes into play with this bike. Is once again we're talking about Jason Momoa.
Yours is creepier.
I know. Harley's poster
Game
boy.
of Thrones. Game of Thrones. What's the other movie where he's the Aquaman? All mixed in with motorcycles. Yeah.
He did their. If you watch it, the 25-minute promo for the bike, which it's worth watching. It's a lot of history and them claiming like we've always been adventure because there used to not be roads. We were making fun of the what's the marketing slogan they use? No, everything is a road.
Everything is a road. They're getting philosophical, man. What? Back to the Future.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
We're going, we don't need roads. Flies off.
It's perfect. Perfect.
It is.
For me, the marketing is just kind of like dress up. They're kind of telling a story. The first 20 minutes where they're talking about the history of Harley Davidson, I was like, basically I fast forwarded that because to me it wasn't relevant. Yeah, it's nice to know the history, but I'm really down with like what they're basically speaking to my dreams, man. And it might be an audience of one, just me. But I don't think so. I think there's a lot of others who basically daydream about just being out there in the wilderness. That's my dream. Like we talked about it. Just pack my clothes into a motorcycle and like just let me live like a hobo. Like that's what their marketing is, right? Like just take your stuff, forget about all your troubles, just get on the bike and go as far as you can. And now with the Pan America, you can basically go anywhere.
So another thing with the marketing too, it's not just a marketing thing. It's actually just part of, Harley, and we've talked about this before, does a really good job at lifestyle. So with the Pan America, not only can you get, a really cool bike, they're releasing a lot of accessories right off the bat.
Yeah.
So let's say you buy the base model because you don't have the coin to pony up the extra couple grand for the nicer bike. You could buy all those accessories separate. And there's always bag features, hard bags, soft bags, a tank bag, which is interesting because they actually thought about tank bags because most adventure riders have that tank bag. They put the gas cap way up front in the top of the tank,
Yeah.
so you can attach
so that you don't have to
bag.
take the tank. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's the little things like that they thought about, and it's the details. The details matter.
Going into some of that lifestyle as well is Harley is known for leather and the little clamshell. They knew it wasn't their bag for adventure riding stuff, so they actually teamed with Revit to make adventure gear for Harley for this line of bikes, which means you can go to a dealership and this is, I think, it's both of our dreams. Sell all your stuff.
Yeah.
Take all the money. Go
Just
to Harley.
take it. Just take it all. Yeah.
Give it all to them. You come out with all
Just make it rain.
your bags.
Just make it rain in the dealership.
Just make it rain. You get all your bags, you get your helmet, you get your adventure gear, and you just go.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, I swear, if there's a big milestone in my life where I could just do something like that for like a month, man, I'll do that in a heartbeat. But yeah, I mean, we talked about the Harley being the one-stop shop, and I've been around Harley riders enough to know that like they a lot of them live inside the Harley store. Like they like to get all the Harley gear. I'm kind of edging a little bit more towards that. Now I don't have like the half helmet like a lot of these do. A lot of these Harley riders do, but I think they're smart. It's the Harley ecosystem. They keep building it. I kind of compare them with the Apple. I think you may have mentioned that, like, you have to come to Apple to buy the iPad, and it has to sync with the iPhone, and like it's very eerily similar what Harley's doing.
And once you get that one piece of tech, you have to have it all.
Yep, exactly.
With the whole Harley lifestyle thing, I mean, as much as I make fun of it, it's nice to know that the people who are interested in adventure riding seriously can go to that one-stop shop and get everything they need.
If they had come out with a whole line of like adventure riding gear, I don't know if I would have taken them seriously.
Yeah.
But if they said, now that they've said, hey, we're partnering with some top-notch companies to give you guys all the gear that you're used to, I think that gives a whole lot of credibility amongst adventure bike riders. One thing that I do want to touch on, I don't know if this is going to I don't know if this is going to make or break the deal for a lot of adventure riders, but I did read that the Harley Pan Am is 5-gallon gas tank.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other manufacturers have a little bit more. I think for me, 250 miles, I think it's plenty. But
it's plenty. Because I think here's the comparison.
I'm not an adventure rider.
The BMW has 7.9, as does the Ducati Multistrada. KTM is at 6 gallons. Pan America comes in at 5.6. It's plenty big. Most adventure riders who are going on long journeys will have a Rotopax or some kind of fuel storage inside their bike anyways. I don't think that's a deal breaker. I mean, I think what was really going to come down to, because specs are so similar and pricing is so similar, is looks. Do I want to ride that bike?
Yeah.
Does that bike fit my lifestyle? Does it have, those things that attract me to it? Because in the end of, at the end of the day, you have to be able to turn around and look at your bike and say, do I want to sit on that? Do I want to be associated with that? And that's really what it's going to come down to, is if you're fine with it being a Harley, because I know some adventure riders are going to be snobs. They're going to be like, well, it's not the BMW.
Yeah.
But it's a good looking bike, and it's objectively a little bit different. You always had problems with adventure bikes looking, you think they look ugly. And this has a little bit more of that street appeal, and it looks a little more modern. And it almost looks like something out of Tron. I know you said Knight Rider, but I was kind of thinking the same kind of thing. It has a modern vibe to it that I think will attract people to maybe getting into the adventure riding scene.
Well, I mean, looks are subjective, right? Aesthetics
Absolutely.
are subjective. A lot of people think the Honda African Twin is like the best looking adventure bike out there. I don't know why, but it doesn't speak to me. But for some reason, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate because, I'm wearing a Harley sweatshirt or I got the Harley flag. And of course you're going to say the Harley Pan America looks great. But it's for me, it looks different enough where it piques my interest. And like, if you're trying to just stand out from the crowd in general, like if you're trying to do something different, I think nothing can be more different than Harley getting into adventure bikes.
When people actually get their hands on it to test it, that's one thing.
Yeah. To
see how durable it is, that's going to be a big make or break. The seat comfort is going to be a big point of contention, because a lot of adventure riders and people who are going to tour on this bike are going to want to be able to sit in that saddle for 8 to 12 hours at a time. You know, they're going long distances on this bike, and if you can't sit in that bike for more than an hour, toast.
I'm heavily considering at least going to try it out, right? I think that's the point here. Like, it has people interested enough that they want to try it out. This is new, this is different, and we keep saying, like, a lot of people have bagged on Harley for years because they've always done the same thing. They've stuck to their, the ways. But now Harley has brought out something different. What can you say? They've ticked all the boxes. What more can you ask?
Here's what I can say. I, Never Mormoto, apologize for any crap I've given you about the Pan America. What I thought it would be and what it is are two totally different things. And I'm really happy with what I see as far as specs and what I see on paper. If it rides half as good as it looks and half as good as it looks on paper, it's going to be a monster. It's going to sell really, really well. About, how everyone kept dogging Harley for putting out the same stuff all the time. Everyone's giving Harley crap. You always come out with the same bikes. With the Sportster line, it's just the same bike, it's just different paint schemes. We keep talking about that. They finally come out with something innovative, and you have to give them credit where credit's due. It is a very innovative bike, and in the end, a lot of manufacturers are doing some really cool stuff this year. You have the Rebel coming out with their 1100 motor, awesome. Yeah. We just talked about the Chief in our last video, awesome bike, and now you have this comes out, and I think we fall in love with these bikes every time we talk about them. It's like, oh, I can see myself on that Rebel, or I can see myself in the Chief. And now we're both like, I can have a Pan America, whatever. But in the end, all this really cool innovation is happening right now. And in the end, we all win because they're all competing against each other.
Yeah.
To jam those features in there. And as consumers, I think in the next few years, we're going to see a lot of really cool stuff come out.